Hey boys and girls, this is Mr. Bell. We're going to talk again about decimals. We talked about in the last video, we talked about, there you guys are, we talked about, not really decimals, but we talked about dividing whole numbers, because that's kind of a precursor to what we're going to see here. So the first thing I want to talk about is what exactly is place value, because place value is very important when we're talking about adding, subtracting, multiplying, anything to do with decimals, okay? And place value you probably are already familiar with. You've had dealt with the ones, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, the 10,000s, hopefully the 100,000s, and even up to the millions. And none of that's changed. You still have that. But at this point now, we're introducing the decimal, which you should be familiar with. And then you have place values going to the right of the decimal also. Okay, in this case we have the tenths, the hundreds, the thousands, the 10,000s, the 100,000s, the millions, and so on. And it just keeps going just like it does in that direction. Okay, but when you're reading a number like this here, you would read it 3,684 and 26 hundredths. Okay, that's how that particular number is read out loud. Okay, the and, when I said and I emphasize that word and, that designates a decimal. So when you're talking, usually about money, you'll say $1.45. All right, the and that you say there is representing the decimal. That means you have less than $1. Okay, so it always kind of gripes me a little bit when I hear people say 1,200 or 1,281. And to be proper, you don't say 1,281. You'll just say 1,281, because when you start throwing the word and into a number, then that's supposed to represent a decimal place. Okay? So, anyway, let's move on. Okay, guys, on this particular slide, we're going to start adding decimals. So the first step, the first thing that you want to do is, first of all, you get your number, and in this case we're going to add 1.452 plus 1.3. 1.3. Okay? So it says the first step is to write the numbers with the decimals lined up. All right? So writing them with the decimals lined up, that means I got to stack them. 4, 5, 2 plus 1.3. All right, so I have lined up the decimals right here. All right, but I got this extra space here. I got two numbers kind of hanging out by themselves, and there's nowhere for them to go. So what I want to do, according to the next step, is to put zeros at the end of the number, so every number has the same length of numbers. All right, so I have the, let me get a pointer again, I have the 2 over the 0, the 5 over the 0, the 4 over the 3, the two decimals are lined up, and then 1 over the 1. So now I can go ahead and solve this problem. I got 2 plus 0 is 2, 5 plus 0 is 5, 4 plus 3 is 7. Bring my decimal down. 1 plus 1 is 2. So my answer to 1.452 plus 1.3 is 2.752. All right. Let me get rid of all this. And we'll look at another problem real quick. All right, perfect. So, next problem, we have 3.25 plus 0.075 plus, I hope I have enough room, 5. Okay, so first step, rewrite the numbers with the decimals lined up. So I have 3.25, and then I have 0.075, and then I have 5. Well, I don't see a decimal on 5. Where is it? Well, guess what? The decimal is actually right there. So I have 5, and that's where my decimal is, because it's a whole number. It's bigger than 0. Okay. So the thing that I'm dealing with now is that I got all the space here, and then I actually have a little bit of space right here that I need to fill in. So I can go ahead and add my 0 here, and then I'm going to add 3 zeros to this number here. Now I can go ahead and add everything together. Starting with the right side, I'd add 0 plus 5 plus 0 is 5. 5 plus 7 plus 0 is 12. I got to carry my 1. Carry my 1. 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 0 is still 3. I bring down my decimal, and then 5 plus 3 plus 0 is 8. So my answer to 3.25 plus 0.075 plus 5 is 8.325. All right, so I'm going to do one real quick subtracting decimals example. And the steps for subtracting is you basically follow the same steps as addition, but one thing you have to remember is that unlike addition, you have to keep the numbers in the correct order, right? The order that they were given. Otherwise, you'll get the wrong answer. So you can't, subtraction is not commutative like addition is. Addition, you can change the sums around, or the add-ins rather, and you won't change the value of the sum. But if you were to change the numbers in the subtraction problem around, then yes, you will change the answer. So you got to make sure you keep it in the same order. So my problem that we're going to work with right now is 37.275 minus 17 and 13852. So if you go back to the last slide, you know that the first step was to line up the decimals. So we'll go 37.275 minus 17.13852. All right, now we're going to subtract these numbers. However, I got this little bit of space right here that I have to do something with. I got these extra numbers sticking out. So I have to figure out what to do. Well, if you paid attention in the last video, all right, or in the last slide rather, you know that we added a 0 for each number that was sticking out past the end. Okay, now I have enough numbers in every place value where I can add everything, or subtract rather. So I can't subtract 2 from 0, and I can't borrow from this 0. So I have to go all the way over here and borrow from that 5. That's going to turn that 5 into, if I can back out, all right, it's going to change it into a 4. Okay, that's going to turn this 0, this first one, into a 10, and then I'm going to borrow from that, and that's going to become a 9, and that's going to turn this 0 into a 10. So then I can subtract 2 from 10 and get 8. I can subtract 5 from 9 and get 4. I can't subtract 8 from 4, so I have to borrow from that 7. That's going to become a 6, and then that becomes a 14. 8 from 14 is 6. Okay, 3 from 6 is 3. 1 from 2 is not 2. See if this erases. Wow, got rid of all that. Not what I was really looking for. All right, let's try this again. Add the 0. I got to borrow. Okay, from the 5, that becomes a 4. This becomes a 9. And that becomes a 10. 2 from 10 is 8. 5 from 9 is 4. 8 from 4 I can't do. That becomes a 6. That becomes a 14. 8 from 14 is 6. 3 from 6 is 3. 1 from 2 is 1. Decimal place. 7 from 7 is 0. 1 from 3 is 2. So my final answer is 20.13648. All right? That's the basic idea of how to add and subtract decimals. You have to keep the decimals lined up, And if it's subtraction, you have to make sure you keep them in the same order. So for instance, in this particular case, I had 37.275 first. So when I listed my number, that was the top number. Okay, then I subtracted 17.13852. That was on the bottom. Okay, the next step was to add zeros when you needed to kind of make sure you line everything up to the right side. And then after that, you just subtract like it's a regular number, but you got to make sure you bring your decimal down. All right, addition and subtraction of decimals always line up the decimal points.